Look how terrific I look. I look so good for my age.
No comment. All right, we are live. Can you guys in the comments just let me know if you guys can see and or hear us okay? That would be absolutely terrific. I'm not
3 a.m. in South Australia. Bless your heart. Aw.
if we had done 3 a.m. here, I would be much more awake than I am now.
And I would be comatose. So, and occasionally I'm like, talk about the book and recipes. I need coffee. Oh, mommy's so tired.
It's okay, Mom. No one's here to hear you talk.
Yeah, Dad was crying. He's playing the fortune cookie set. No vodka in here, by the way.
Why did I think this was a good idea? Okay. So, thank you all for joining us.
Good morning, especially if you're in Australia.
Few Australians. Yeah, no, I got a few. Your
technology of yours is magical. It's a Alongi clock. Oh my god. That has to be a thing now. Oh my god, I love that.
All right. Well, if you're from her side of the internet, hi, I'm CM Alongi. I am best known for CaFae Latte. If you're from my side of the internet, this is my mom. You don't care.
Oh, my name's Maryjanice Davidson, and I'm pretty well known for paranormal romance, mostly the Betsy the Vampire Queen Undead series. And these days I'm writing paranormal and I review books for Publishers Weekly.
And she and I are also currently writing cookbooks.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that didn't immediately occur to me.
It's, it's so funny because like she's been doing paranormal fiction, paranormal romance for
longer than you've been alive.
And so like in my head, that's like all mom. So when I was trying to figure out, okay, I want to do a CaFae Latte book. I thought I should get like a professional baker because I'm not a professional baker. I've never written or published recipes or anything like that. I know I suck. And so thank you from Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah, they can give us money too.
Oh man,
that's like highlighted.
This is opening up a whole new world for me. I'm just learning so much from all of this.
It's so weird because she's worse with technology than I am, and I'm pretty bad with technology. I just have the millennial step up. Anyway, so like I actually reached out to a couple of bakers. Like if you guys have watched the Try Guys or Johnny Cakes.
She's obsessed with the Try Guys.
Yeah. So like I actually emailed Johnny Cakes and he responded back because he follows me. Unfortunately, he responded back saying like, I can't, like, I'm just too busy. I just cannot do it. And like, this was just a couple of months before they announced the new Try Guys, like the fact that he was now Try Shoes. No, not that one.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, this was like way after. But basically, what happened recently is that the Try Guys started with 4, then it was 3, then Eugene went off to do his own thing, which is fine. We love him for that. So instead of just keeping 2 Try Guys, the 2 Try Guys contacted like 9 of their friends, including Johnny Cakes.
Oh, okay. And
they were like, "Hey, did you guys want to be in videos on a permanent basis?" And they were all like, "Yes."
And the stampede killed the original Try Guys.
So it was just like, so I got that announcement. I was like, oh, that's why he said no, because
that's why.
And so I'm bitching about this to Mom, and
I was tuning her out as usual.
Yep, and she said something along the lines of published and written recipes, which I did not know. All I knew about Mom was that she wrote smut.
Amazing, magical, lucrative smut, but yes.
I mean, it's paid for this house. Yeah, no shame. I don't read it, but I don't shame you for it. But
and we understand, as you said, I don't want to risk reading a sex scene written by my mother as inspired by my father.
It's never gonna happen. So that's how I found out that Mom has written recipes, and then I pretty much dragged her into writing.
And this was in July. We had the idea in July, and then on November 15th, the book came out. So we hustled.
Yeah, for those in the book industry, that's like
That's crazy.
That is crazy fast. So it was a little bit of a rush job. But yeah. Oh, we got another dono. Thank you, Emma. Which of your characters would you most like to be friends with if they existed in real life? for the history.
Oh, yeah,
Robin
yeah.
Cyrus for history.
Well, Jennifer Charles too.
Jennifer Charles is really fun.
Yeah, she is. And thank you, New York. Thank you, New York. Happy holidays to you too. We put our Christmas tree up yesterday, and there weren't like hardly any fisticuffs, so we were really proud.
Oh my god! All my childhood memories are like
I have been very obsessed with lighting the tree just right.
I have like vivid PTSD. Okay. Before we get too siderolled, we do have questions from our patrons over on Patreon that we're gonna do first, and then we'll tackle yours. But before we get into that, give me the main things. So we are actually doing a giveaway. We have 10 paperback copies of the official CaFae Latte cookbook. So thin, so sexy.
It was rather sensually shaped. I didn't want to look like a freak, so I didn't say anything, but it was so good and sexy.
So anyway,
the sexiest goddamn cookbook I've ever seen.
In the description of this video, you will see that there is a link to Rafflecopter. You can sign up to win a signed copy, signed by both of us. We're giving away 10 of these, and the giveaway goes until 11:59 p.m. on Monday, and then we'll be announcing winners on Tuesday, and then sending them out as soon as we get your guys' mailing addresses.
When we get your addresses, out they go. And so, if you want to keep yours for yourself, of course. If you want to generously give it to a friend, we'll make sure they're in your hands before the holidays.
That is cool. That's why we decided to, instead of going, you know what, we should give ourselves a proper year or two to really get into it. We're just like, you know what, we want this for the holidays. Yeah. We want the Christmas money.
Yeah. Yeah, and we wanted it to be out before Thanksgiving because that's when people start shopping. And and to be fair, Chris's fans have been clamoring for this.
You guys have been since the first video.
Yeah, so 3 years ago.
2023.
Yeah, okay.
2 years, 1.5 years ago.
Wow, and in that time, she's amassed over 300,000 followers in a little over 4 followers. 4 followers. So, which I, as an old, I'm just in awe. I just think that's amazing and wonderful.
Gotcha. Yeah. By the way, the giveaway is international.
Yes,
the question always pops.
I do the same thing for mine too. Anybody in the world can join, and we'll eat the. If you live in Brazil, we will eat the postage.
Or Germany.
Or Germany. Yep. That's Australia.
It's a thin book, so it's not going to cost all that much.
No,
it's light. It flies.
It does. It is light because it's so thin and sexy.
It is so thin and sexy.
This is so goddamn sexy.
I can make the jokes because I'm ace.
I'm having feelings. All right. Enough of that.
All right. Patreon questions, which I wrote down ahead of time. So
what you writing?
So one of the questions was, what was your favorite part about writing the cookbook? Eating the snacks afterwards, because we had to take pictures for to purchase a cookbook without pictures. Why would you not want to?
Oh, fudge! Just make the fudge.
The fudge, which was a stock photo, by the way.
Yeah, it was. It was that one.
Cheat with a
little bit. I'm
but not with the gladiator dates.
Oh,
that's my actual sword. And that's our fireplace.
Yeah, when she came shooting week, she had so many weapons in her car, and I was proud and also terrified. But mostly proud.
And one of them was real.
A few of them were pretty sharp. So, which I totally.
Very picture.
Yeah, the fire in the background is from our living room fireplace, and we shot it in October. An unseasonably warm October.
Minnesota, right? It should not be 80 degrees in October.
We shot early in the morning because I'm like, otherwise, it's been high today, supposed to be 80. We have to shoot this right away in the morning. I feel dumb enough having a fire when it's 65 degrees out.
Yeah. So we had to put all the So we had to, create as many of the snacks as possible in order to take pictures of them. And of course, eating the snacks is the best part of it. Although we did have to fight my dad. The swords came in handy because my dad kept trying to eat the snacks. We took the picture.
And then the lemonade. She had our lemonade set up. It looked so beautiful. And my husband was like, oh, pour it down on the lemonade.
We're getting questions about, I do want to address for allergies. Do a lot of recipes have nuts? No. And the ones that do, you can either substitute them, with gladiator dates, you can use sunflower seeds.
Yes.
With pistachio chocolate chunk cookies, you can just not add pistachios. There are
the flowers. We a lot of them are gluten-free and dairy-free.
Literally what I was about to get into.
Right.
We have a lot of gluten-free options, dairy-free options, and if you are gluten-free but like want to make the brownies or the muffins, you can substitute with like coconut flour or rice flour, and it turns out just as good.
It does. Yeah, we tried all different iterations, and it was really important to both of us. We want my son, her brother is dairy free, and his girlfriend is gluten free.
Yep.
And so we want to be sensitive to people who, you want something delicious. Why should you have to sacrifice flavor?
Exactly.
Absolutely not.
So we gave as many options. Yeah, vegan. There are vegan options too, and again, substitutions. We made the cookbook as diverse and as flexible as possible. Write as many notes and substitutions and like, this sucks, never make it again. Like you can absolutely turn this thing into a mess. All right. That is
dog-eared pages if you must. I hate seeing that so much. I would honestly rather they scroll profanity in fluorescent highlighters than dog-ear a page, but that's just how I feel. Thanks for letting me get that out.
Why don't you give us a Patreon question?
Okay.
Patreons first because they literally pay for it.
All right. Was it fun working with each other? Exhibit A, my broken tooth. All right. Yeah, no, that was actually a bagel, but going to me for the last time. Well, and my dentist, it doesn't hurt. It's not infected. So my dentist was like, how's 3 weeks from a week from next Friday? I'm like, fine. I'll just blame Chris. But it actually really was. When we had the idea in July, I remember thinking, it's going to be fun. Every single stage was fun. I was actually, because writing's a business. It's not all fun and games.
Yeah, no, the marketing alone can be
exactly. But every step of it was fun. We were in sync with at one point, I think in the end of August, we said, okay, we're not adding any more recipes. And then we would keep coming up with these ones. Exactly. So, and we just agreed on everything. It was super, super fun. And as a result, not only was it a #1 bestseller on Amazon for weeks and weeks, but we're actually going to do a sequel.
Oh,
it was so fun to work on.
We already have an ongoing list of like future recipes. I really want to do like, more CaFae latte books, maybe like a Wolver's Nest book, maybe like, recipes from the Fae realm type of thing. But like, that's like way out of the future. We want to give ourselves actual time. So not like last minute.
Yeah, the 4-month turnaround isn't necessary.
Collect more swords.
Oh, come on.
You can't just have the same blades, props over and over. It's lazy.
I can't believe we're having this conversation. I don't understand what's happening. So we're done. And that was actually another Patreon question. Yes, there's going to be a sequel. Probably the end of next year. Chris has a very busy.
Yeah, I have 2 books coming out next year.
And a book tour.
Yes, going to be the start of a book tour, and then I want to do
because she's amazing. She's amazing. And do I feel left in the dirt? Yes. And full and angry? Yes. But also am very much in admiration of all that she's done and all that she will do. I just think she's the greatest.
So it's probably going to be closer to 2026, 2025.
No, that's totally fine.
I have 2 books coming out in 2025. I can't.
Same. We try to keep busy when we're not writing cookbooks together.
Yeah. Any chance of a spiral bound?
Oh,
probably not.
KDP is.
Yeah, Amazon KDP is what we use because it was the fastest and the easiest.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. But maybe down the line once we actually have the chance to settle a little bit, we're ready to like do.
We hear you because spiral cookbooks are the best, but unfortunately KDP just doesn't give us this option. It's also why there's no paperback.
You mean no hardcover?
I'm seeing no hard. Yeah,
in the paper.
There's no paperback. So there are 10 paperbacks in that box over there. We wanted to do a hardcover, but KDP sets a minimum price for things, and for us to make $0.00 profit, we would have had to charge you guys like it was like $24.99
for this little thing,
this little thin book as a hardcover.
Fuck that, no.
And we would have had to charge like $28.99 to make an 80-cent profit. We couldn't do that to you guys. I would just feel. I know you guys love Chris so much, and everything she does is right and good and holy in this world. But we would feel bad charging you $25 for this little skinny hardcover. So what Chris came up with was, when we do the sequel, we'll put this and the sequel.
Once we get like 2-3 of these going, and then we can like
then we'll do a hardcover, and it'll be, you know, it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
And if we only make 80 cents per, that's fine. That's fine. It's totally fine.
I mean, you sell 1,000 copies at 80 cents a profit. That's still like $80.
Yeah, exactly. So we couldn't do it to you guys. So we're gonna wait till we got a nice fat book to put in a hardcover for you, and then we'll be good to go.
Gotcha. Your Patreon question.
Oh, let's see here.
She cheated. She uses her phone.
I'm using my phone. That's pretty good for an old. Yeah. How well did your writing styles mesh?
They meshed pretty
well. There's a strong streak of sarcasm through both of our writings, as anybody who's a fan of both of us could attest.
Or anyone who knows our family.
Yeah.
Alongi, you're gonna know. But I will say it was interesting because, like, I said that because you're gonna do the recipes because you actually have experience with the recipes, and I'm going to do the part before the recipes that nobody ever reads. Well, she also did a part before the recipes, but it was distinctly Maryjanice speaking, so I had to like go in and adjust it because it's supposed to be written by Jennifer Charles with some snide comments.
And she did a beautiful job. She did make that mesh beautifully.
Yeah, and it did. So like there were very few times where I had to completely rewrite it.
And I
felt so bad because they were so funny. But most of the time,
it's all got to go.
Yeah, but most of the time, I just had to edit it a little bit. So instead of saying I would feed this I got from my mother-in-law. Well, Jennifer Charles doesn't have a mother-in-law,
right? All the Christmas Andes,
from my
mother-in-law.
It would be like okay, no, it's so like instead Jennifer Charles got this from their grandmother, which is canon, by the way. There's a skit where they were like having that at the culinary school when they were getting judged by that jerk chef, and one of the things that they made was inspired by the Andes mince cookies by their grandmother.
There's actually at least 2 recipes from her grandma, from Christina's grandma. My mom, the fudge.
That's
from my mom, and then Grammy's Andes mint cookies and the apple pudding are from my late mother-in-law, which if she knew,
which I retconned as yarn grannies.
Oh, and if she knew, she'd be just so delighted.
Oh my God, Grammy would be all over this,
she would.
More than your mom. She would be insane.
Yeah, she would. And all the buzz. Now, what didn't mesh, ironically, which makes me think of that, our marketing styles, given that there's a generation between us.
She's not even on TikTok.
Oh my God. There's so, well, for example, the raffle. And what was the name of the
raffle copter?
Right.
And it's what we're doing for the giveaway. Which I will remind you is in the description of this video. She'd never heard of it.
Never heard of it. So Chris is like, oh yeah, you just plug this in and then it'll pick for it. And I'm just like, this is like witchcraft. This is the darkest black magics to me. And she was all, and she comes out with, meanwhile, I'm like, well, if you want to run a really inefficient, slow snail mail campaign, you come and see Mommy. Mommy has you covered.
It will be leaning on her for like book tour advice because she's actually been on physical book tours.
Oh, it's so
I haven't. So.
Oh, it's so fun to meet readers. Oh my gosh, I was on one book tour for an undead book, and one of my readers was a baker, and she showed up with a wedding cake for Betsy and Sinclair. It like a 3-tiered wedding cake. And my husband, who comes with me on these tours, was like, "Well, I need to check this for poison," and he's like, "Dripping down many samples and daddy tax." It was just so, and we just decided I'm just going to make this wedding cake for free and bring it to this author I'm going to go visit. It was just
when CITADEL came out and I was doing my mini local tour. I obviously owe quite a few
Minnesota Book Award nominee, CITADEL, by the way.
I lost to Inkblood Sister Scribe, which I saw coming a mile away.
She won it. She's like, "Mom, here's the one who's going to win." And I'm like, wow, you're a really graceful loser, Chris. And also, you can tell the future. All over the talk. All right, I just talk. Right, that's something we should talk about also, probably.
Jesus Christ, Mom. Okay, so it's fine. Well, anyway, so I had a lot of CaFae Latte fans show up, and one of them she made a double crown for Bob, Violet, the fairy, which I used as a prop. I've used it multiple times as a prop in the series. It's very heavy.
And what about the vest?
And the vest, oh my, okay, so another fan sent me a dress in this really pretty, like, blue with some gold and silver highlights. And just out of the blue, they said in the letter they said that they were thrift shopping and it just spotted, so it was like $2.
And grabbed it for her and mailed it to her.
Because it reminded them so much of Citadel's cover, and they were correct. And I tried it on, and I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Like, I needed my roommate's help to wiggle out of it. I didn't want to like toss in the trash heap or give it away.
No,
So,
no.
so like the
Beautiful.
fabric was
It was
beautiful.
beautiful.
So luckily, my roommate is getting really, really good at cosplay
Like a
and
master seamstress,
creating her own clothes and stuff like that. She wears to work and all that stuff. So I basically just gave her the dress, and I was like, "Here, make me something out of this."
And she made this beautiful vest,
the Citadel vest that I
wear to the Minnesota Book
Awards, and I still wear it whenever I'm playing in my book videos, TALK, over on TikTok, where I personify each of my books, and they're all sniping at each other because they like hate each other like siblings.
I think you need to speak to a professional.
That's the
and I just love
portrait
and fear. And I was cool. We all went to the Minnesota Book Awards. Well, all right. I'm going to put my rant out of the way. The Minnesota Book Awards are wonderful and prestigious, and they don't do romance novels. They don't. We ignore that category.
It's only half of all books published.
I'm so mad. She knocked out my tooth. So because I like to see what my colleagues are up to, and I like to read these books. And so for 10 years, I've been following this prestigious award that I will never get.
That I did not know existed.
And calls me and says, "Hey." So I'm like, "You have to Minnesota." I'm like, "Oh, love you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you." So we all go, the family and her friends, and we take up like a whole row.
Yeah,
at the Minnesota Book Award.
11 tickets.
So I'm talking to the usher. I'm like, "It's my daughter. It's not me, it's her." And her book Citadel is so good. If you ever read it, anyway, where do we sit? So I was cool as a cucumber, and she totally wasn't afraid of me in the slightest.
Right. Yeah. Hey, actually, because they do have a nonfiction category, we should like nominate our book, and you might get nominated for a Minnesota Book Award.
The only way I will, apparently, because for some reason the romance genre does not exist to them.
Well, it's because it's mostly done by women. This snobbery against right romance, okay? But I respect it as a genre, and like
something that put you through college,
and that's something that took me through college, and put the roof over my head growing up, and everything else. But yeah, no, it honestly pisses me off when people are like, "Oh, it's just romance." It's like, bitch, no, okay? Like, I don't write romance because I can't write romance. Literally, I'm getting the beta and sensitivity feedback from Heart of Iron, the CaFae Latte novel that's going to come out next year. And one of the biggest complaints is we want more JC and Nicole because I'm not good at writing romance.
It's like a 1950s sitcom. There's like twin beds and like they kiss and then it fades to black, and that's the sex scene.
Kiss and fade to black, actually, and that is all you're going to get from that. But What You Trade with Death, which comes out in March, does have a spicy scene, which is why I told my brother not to read it. Advice for finding an agent / publisher or for self-publishing.
Oh, the big conundrum. You can't get an agent without a book contract. You can't get a book contract without an agent.
It's like you ask any author, and you're going to tell you the story of how many times they were rejected by literary agents. You like to say
10 years.
Yes, you like to say that you could have redone the wallpaper of your apartment before we moved into the first house with rejection letters.
And some are on really nice vellum, like the onion skin. I mean, they would have made beautiful.
The thick cardboard type.
Oh yeah. No, my favorite rejection slip was they had cut off the top inch of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of. This book does not suit our needs at this time. They would piss away an entire sheet of paper rejecting me. So that was a vodka smoothie morning. Ooh, definitely. Just ice and vodka and maybe a little honey.
Yeah.
But 10 years of that. So it's.
And I had like 30 rejections from literary agents for Citadel. And this was before CaFae Latte, so it did not have a major following online, which does help. Like if my literary agent were to drop me today and I were to have to hunt for another one, I would be able to get one much more easily because one, I already have a book published and with another one coming out next year. And then I also have a massive fan base already built in, which, you know, publishers really only see dollar signs.
It's very true. It's absolutely true. It's very much, what have you, a publisher doesn't care that I made the best New York Times bestseller list 6 years ago. They want to know what I did yesterday.
You do now? Yeah. So this is why a lot of authors these days have been self-publishing first, because then they can get the fan base started and then build off of that. And like, okay, for my next novel, now I'm going to start striking out to find a traditional publisher in order to, because now I can say I've already published 3 books by myself, and here is this fandom that I followed. It's only a few hundred people, but it's something to build off.
And KDP is great for that. We both love Amazon's KDP program.
Fuck Bezos, but
yeah, I know. Oh God. Oh, other thing I really don't want to get into.
Oh, consumption in a capitalist society, blah blah blah.
To put out any of your own money, you don't. They will, and
you still though for the editor.
No, I mean like you don't have to give KDP any.
Yes, you don't have to give KDP any money. Just your fans do.
Yeah.
You guys are the ones we blame.
Oh yeah, no thing is ever our fault.
But yeah, honestly, like you're going to be rejected so many times, but every agent and publisher that rejects you gets you closer to the one that will take
absolutely. Again, 10 years of rejections, and you know, 9.5 years in, you're tempted to hang it up.
Yeah,
and I don't think people are asking that question because they don't love writing, and if it's the sort of thing that you have to do, then persist.
Yeah,
the world's full of people who quit.
Exactly. Yeah, the difference between a professional author and I have to write a book someday author is the ones who keep going.
And sometimes it's really the hardest thing in the world, as with working out, is to get your ass into the seat. So I trick myself into working out. I'll work out for 5 minutes, and that gets my butt out of the house and into the car.
To do that for writing, where it's just like, I'm not going to write a whole chapter today.
I'm just down.
I'm just going to write the first paragraph.
And then once you're writing your first paragraph, so
then it kind of snows.
I guess look to yourself, and great things will happen.
Listen to the voices in your head. So there's that, and then
let me just get back real, because I'm seeing a lot of what if we don't want to self-publish. The writer's market is a valuable resource. It's this gigantic, and again, it's this gigantic hardcover.
They have digital versions too,
and you can get it on an ebook too. And it's everything. It's short stories, it's novels, it's articles, it's songs, it's they're a greeting card company.
There are also whole databases online. I think I used like 2 of them and cross-referenced. And
because agents and publishers, they want to find the next CM Alongi. They absolutely want to. And so there are agents out there and there are publishers out there looking for brand new stuff. Everybody's looking for the next awesome thing. So honestly, persistence is your biggest tool.
And networking too,
biggest tool.
And also, honestly, like networking does help, because when I was getting frustrated with all the rejections, and I'd only been rejected 30 times over the course of like 3 months, which is nothing. And I'm getting rich. And even though I knew going into it, because watching her and getting her advice all my life, I knew that this was going to be rejection heavy. So what I
solicited and unsolicited.
Exactly. So I ended up copy and pasting the template I was using for a query letter, and I shared it with a bunch of Facebook groups that I'm a part of that specialize in writers. And I basically asked, guys, what am I doing wrong? Which
everything.
Yeah. And I get a lot of really great advice on how to do query letter, but I also ended up getting contacted by one of the writers of that group, also works for a publishing company, Blackstone Publishing. And he messaged me and was like, can I have the first 50 pages of the book? It looks really good. Basically, verify, make sure the stranger on his neck is who he says he is. Once I did that,
we're just going through that again.
Because that's how we both did it ass backwards. I ended up with a publishing contract first, and then once I had that, then it was very easy to get a literary agent because all the work was done for them. Basically, they just had to renegotiate the contract. Oh yeah, sometimes stuff like that just happens.
Totally off topic. I'm seeing from Caitlin Middleton here. Do you make the crochet props for your series? Yes, she does.
Yep, and some of them are, because I taught her how to crochet over the pandemic.
That's what we did. We ate a ton of food and we crocheted
and wrote. But yeah, and I figured out how to do YouTube too. But yeah, no, all the crochet stuff is either made by me or made by mom.
And for your what are we crocheting stuff?
Yes, the for the Heart of Iron Kickstarter, we're also hand making everything of that. So the dice bags are all made by me. Most the scarves are made by me, but the cowls are made by her.
Yeah,
Baskets.
we're both crocheting all this stuff for you guys for the Kickstarter.
I've got a spreadsheet.
It's she does. It's terrifying and very organized.
And we're never doing it again because making the stuff is fun.
That is
fun doing that. It's what's gonna kick our ass is shipping it, because it's not gonna be like, oh, just throw whatever and then ship it off to the next person. It's not homogenous because every person is asking for a different thing.
Exactly.
So you're gonna have to like it's gonna be time consuming.
150 things we're gonna be shipping all over the world.
Oh, just for the crochet. It's a lot more than 150 total.
And when Chris gave me my list of crochet projects to start on, she was like, "And for the love of God, Mom, label you make pretty on future us, and don't just put everything in a pile without labels." I'm like, I'm exactly going to do that because I want to really screw future us over.
I know you too well.
Anyway, so sorry but like I said, I saw the crochet thing, but yeah, perseverance is your number one tool to getting published.
And in a related question, any budget-friendly tools or resources to improve writing skills?
Yeah, we're almost wherever. Well, I don't want to sound too privileged. There are all kinds of writing conferences, and a lot of them are free or really cheap to attend.
There's also YouTube, which is where I got a lot of.
See, once again, the generational difference. I'm like, go drive to a city that has a conference, and we'll teach you how to write. And she's like, or just stay home and look on YouTube.
YouTube. I mean, there are a lot of authors. Brandon Sanderson, of course, has his world building series, which I highly recommend. And
Alongi has a few.
I do have a few, although I haven't done.
It's mostly about a rant about what she doesn't like in the market.
But yeah, no,
today
I highly recommend Jenna Moresi, who is a really great YouTuber and author. I like listening to the trope talks of overly sarcastic productions because they're just really fun to do and examine. Hello Future Me has some really good world building and writing advice videos. Just Right. There are a bunch of author tubers, and those are totally free. Also, for books, the best writing books that I can recommend.
She's so proud of my little girl.
Yes, OSP mention. I love OSP. Like they're like the first people I subscribe to on YouTube.
OSP mention, is that what you're
Overly Sarcastic Productions? They're great. So they but books. The best books on writing that I can recommend is Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jenna Moresi. No, not Jenna Moresi. I'm getting my authors mixed up. I can't remember her name. It's Jenny something. Save the Cat Writes a Novel and The Writer's Journey. Those are the top two books that I would recommend because they really help break down, the do's and don'ts of basic writing and outlining and everything else.
I have something, but Darkest Argentum, when and if you do the Feywild cookbook, maybe base it on Cyrus's mom, since he said that she's a really good cook compared to that's something to throw in there. And also, as an old, Stephen King's On Writing, is wonderful.
That's like one of the few books, because I don't like Stephen King's writing,
which is just like at all. Waiting for you to learn to read so I could make you read it. And it just, I've
tried. I just can't do it. Same with Neil Gaiman, although now it's because of the second. So it's just like, I just like, or N.K. Jemisin, which is another big name that I just can't read because I just don't mesh with the writing style. And it's like, and it's not like they're not bad writers. I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
But Stephen King's On Writing is wonderful. And there's also a pretty good section in there about his substance abuse and how his family helped him get clean. His wife brought in the garbage and upended the garbage in their living room. And it was like empty NyQuil bottles and bloody handkerchiefs and Kleenexes.
Jessica Brody, that's what it was.
There you go. Thank you, Shez. Bloody handkerchiefs because he was addicted to cocaine, and so nosebleeds all over. And she just dumped all that nasty garbage in the middle of the living room, and she was like, "You need help." But so he talks about that. But there's also really, really good like nuts and bolts writing advice for it. And I love a rags to riches story. So when Carrie sold and he got a $5,000 advance for like 1976, that was really it's good money to
now. It was more than I got.
And it was they were in Maine It's like 7 o'clock at night. He's like, he read my website. He wanted to rush out and get his wife a present because he was so excited. So the only thing open was a drugstore, and he got her a hairdryer. I was just like I said, I love it. And then the paperback rights sold for 6 figures, and then it was off to the races for him. So he went from a teacher who worked in laundromats in the summertime with 3 little kids, and he would sell a short story, and they would use that money to like pay for ear medicine because their kids had chronic ear infections. Went from that to
Stephen King.
Yeah. So and like I said, I love it. And it's all on writing. It's really, and his how he recovered from his hideous accident, and just it's a wonderful book.
Yeah, it is good. I do recommend that one too. Good call. And I think the first thing that I paid for with my Citadel advance, first thing I did was paid off my car.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to deal with any more car payments. It's nice. Got an extra $300 a month in my bank account. Very nice. And then also when the second chunk of the advance came, school tickets, because they were in town.
Oh my God, I forgot.
Me, my dad, and my brother were all Tool fans, and they were in town. And they never do live performances. So when they were in the Twin Cities, we were like,
wow.
Yes, and it was So
we're not going to go into like money details, but when she got her letter, and she sent it to me immediately, and I opened it and read the whole thing, and then she called me. And I'm like, Chris, this is so exciting. She's like, I know, can you believe it? I'm like, and this is a really good advance. She's like, what's the advance? I'm like, what? She goes, I just read the first sentence and then called you. Literally telling her what they were offering for an advance and like publication rights and all that. I read the letter, and she just read the first sentence. So
agent yet, so it was like, I got to go to the closest thing to an expert I have.
I just thought it was awesome that she didn't give a shit about the money. She was so happy to get a publishing contract offer, and I just thought that was
a book I've been writing since I was 12.
And I just thought that was like the purest, most beautiful thing ever.
And then I was, but also I was like, but also let's not sign anything until we get an agent to look at this.
And I actually sent it to my agent, Ethan Ellenberg, and I'm like, listen, I know this is really kind of I mean, obviously she's not your client, and this is kind of one of those things where you're a doctor. My doctor is our person, but she goes like this. What do you think's wrong with her? So I said, if you could just recommend, take a look at.
Is it a scam?
Right, exactly. What's Blackstone? And he was such a sweetheart. He read the whole thing. He wrote this really long letter about what was good about the offer and what was bad about the author. And I was just like, oh, I mean, because this business there's room for everybody.
There really is. I hate when an author's video editor Nick is in the chat.
Oh, Chris raves about you constantly, almost to an obsessive point. So I
will knock out your other tooth.
No people jokes, Jesus. There's no abuse at all, Nick. Don't call anyone. Definitely don't call 911.
You're jiggling.
I am sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no. So what were we talking about?
We were talking about your purity and how Ethan's letter.
Yes.
And and how there's room for. I mean,
yes, and author scandals drives me up. Well, when authors pretend to be the recent trend of them pretending to be different races. Basically doing blackface or yellowface just sucks. Or the Caitlin Kane one where she was review bombing all the other debut authors of her year. It's just, and I'm just like,
be nice. Don't be a dick.
Reader, it's literally a joke in the reading community that you don't have a single favorite author or a single favorite book. You have to have it's top 5 at least.
Yeah, I could never pick just one.
Exactly. They're not even Stephen King.
I mean, I could pick between my children, obviously my son. But yeah, books, impossible.
Exactly.
Yeah, everyone I've met, I've worked with Morocco Hamilton, Charlene Harris. When nobody knew who I was, they wanted to do book signings with me to help grow my readership. Chris has met a number of colleagues that have just been super helpful. And my agent didn't have to do shit. My agent could have just said, be fine, and gone back to his life. Instead, he took the time to do this nice long analysis of an offer letter. And that we have found that's just so typical in the industry. People want people to succeed. They want you to be. They want you to succeed, and there's room for everybody.
And
this
writers
is
want big. Yes, it's such a huge industry, and writers want to teach other writers and share this success because we want more books to read.
Yeah,
we want them to be good.
I've taught workshops all over the world, literally Australia, England. I mean, we want you guys to make your dreams come true, and you don't have to do it alone. You really don't.
Yeah. Do we have Patreon questions, or can we take YouTube questions?
YouTube. We're on YouTube right now, right?
Any tips on writing an outline is one that I have, which I know you are totally unqualified for because you hate outlines.
I am a seat of the pants writer.
Yeah,
and I am cornered like a rat, forced by my editor.
This literally caused an existential crisis for me, because in the writing community we have this thing, planner versus pantser. And, you know, pantsers fly by the seat of their pants. They just make everything up as they go along.
It all comes right out of my butt.
Nothing's prepped. Nothing's planned. It makes no sense.
My hot, awesome butt.
Sure. On the other end of the spectrum, you have planners. These are the people who outline. If it's fantasy or science fiction, we world build. We have like character sheets. Like we plan everything before we even hit the prologue or chapter 1. Everything is planned out.
That's wrong. Don't do it like that.
See, it's a spectrum, so some people are like, you know, do a little bit of both, but I plan everything. I outline everything, and she doesn't. And it's like I have blood of the enemy. And you ever read fan fiction for any of your series? No, I have a hard enough time keeping canon straight in my own head. But I
fan fiction about Betsy. You really sexually explicit fan fiction about Betsy, which was and given that I started as an erotic author, I was wide-eyed, and I'm like, well, I don't even know how they're doing that. I know they're vampires, but that seems wrong, and I feel weird. You know,
so for outlining, again, this is why I recommended Save the Cat Writes a Novel, because she has a really great way of like, you know, here are the most important plot points of any given story, you know, order, world, catalyst, midpoint, lowest point, climax, basically. And then once you have those 5 figured out, you can just fill in the blanks from there. And that's typically what I do as well when I'm outlining, but sometimes, especially for the Citadel sequel, which I have been calling Sanctuary, except you said I have to change the name of it, so now I'm kind of calling it Demon Nest. I don't know.
That's like a really bad dessert. Like, I don't have a demon's nest, but I gotta split it because there's so many calories in it and there's so much whipped cream.
I'm not calling it Demon Nest. Sometimes you just kind of go like, okay, no, my characters are starting from here. Here's the natural consequences of that, and then figure it out from there. Or reverse. I know they're going to end up here. And the outline does not have to be fleshed out. It can be totally bare bones. I just like having something as a parachute.
And if you're new, an agent or an editor doesn't want to read your 30-page outline. Try to keep it 2 or 3 pages.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time to flesh out when you get your contract.
Exactly. Especially like when it's like, if you're doing a rough draft, a lot of times my rough drafts will be relatively short. And then I'll think, okay, how can I make this harder for my characters?
Yeah.
And that's where we get the extra hurdles and loops.
I think of it as a movie preview. You don't need every single thing, and it's not the script. It's the preview. And I found that really, really helpful on the occasions when I have been cornered like a rat and forced to outline.
Yeah.
That's and we can keep going.
Yeah, we can keep going.
As we were talking about like 11:45 or noon, but why don't we keep going to noon?
We'll go to noon, and then we got it's my dad. We're supposed
to go
celebrating my dad's birthday. Go see Moana.
Moana 2, so cute. And I'm going to stay home and work on my edits for the Reluctant Reaper. One of which is please remove all references to Neil Gaiman of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels like when the comedians, all of the comedians started to get like, oh, here's a sex abuse scandal, here's a rape scandal.
I think finding out about Jim Gaffigan and Patton Oswalt's dark sides, because apparently everyone in show business is some kind of an abuser.
It's because like so many of our favorites just turn out to be absolute assholes, and it's just like. It sucks. it's one of those things where it's just like I'm trying to learn from She Who Must Not Be Named and all such predecessors, and like because I actually have fans now, and I don't want to disappoint them by being a trash bag human.
It's good. Really, that's kind of a good goal for all of us. I think don't be a trash bag human.
All right. So we're going to start taking YouTube questions now. Thoughts on fan art for CaFae Latte? So I actually...
so much nice
I
fan
know,
art.
and I love seeing it. I actually have a video on my channel called How to Fan Without Being Banned, which because a lot of people were actually...
check that out.
Were asking me questions about things like, can I write fan fiction? Can I incorporate? I'm doing a homebrew RPG. Can I do? Can I have Bob or Cyrus show up for that? Like, can I do fan fiction? Blah blah blah. And the blanket statement: yes, you can, so long as you are not trying to take credit for my characters or world, or you're not trying to make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay.
And
get permission for all that.
And Catherine Thomas has a comment here. Usually fanfic starts out at X-rated and gets more explicit, and that also has been my experience. Why is it an undead and something story here that I didn't? Oh my god! I feel like I should call someone or stop looking at this.
Here's the thing: I love seeing fan art of my characters in the world. Like there's a
me
really
too.
cool Citadel fan art out there, which has Cyrus being so dog-like and like just the gorgeous scenery around it. I love it, but I don't like reading fan fiction of my work. I don't know why.
No, it's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like
weird.
I like seeing that it's there. Like every now and then I'll go to the archive of our own. It's like gorgeous.
And we're not allowed. We shouldn't even be talking about. We're not really publisher's official stance is that's copyright violation, and you're not to encourage it. So we're not encouraging the copyright violation at all.
Copyright violation, come on.
Yeah, exactly. People are going to do it. So we can't like officially say, hey, Jane Smith wrote this very disturbing, explicit undead story that I can't get out of my head for some reason. We can't do that.
I don't understand authors like Anne Rice and George R. R. Martin who are just try to fight like,
damn, you write fan fiction of my beloved characters.
How dare you spend hours and hours creating a story inspired by my story?
Because you love my work so much.
Yeah.
Don't be, as Chris said, don't be a garbage human about it. Yeah. Well, and Anne Rice, don't forget, when she got really big, she had a no editing clause in her contracts, and it shows. You can absolutely tell when they stopped editing her work, and she just for years it was like take it or leave it, and they couldn't touch anything.
Yeah.
And that was when everything went to shit.
Totally different topic. So I should
stop shitting all over us.
Yes.
That aren't me.
Yeah, someone mentioned, and I've been getting a lot of questions about this. Ever hear about the third fairy that
I've seen like 8 questions.
So when I first started CaFae Latte, when I thought it was only going to be like a week-long thing instead of the year and a half it's been now.
Once, and you thought that was
I thought I'll get like a half a dozen skits out of this, but
and you guys who wants to like be grow following on YouTube, publish a book or whatever. She didn't set out to get 400,000. She just did one thing.
Yeah, and that was after 2 years on TikTok and YouTube making crap.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to just get the gunk out of your system, and then once you figure out here's what I'm good at, here's what I'm not good at, here's what my fans want.
Yeah.
Then you can figure it out.
So it's a cliche, but from small things come great things. So for everyone out there, like for everybody, Stephen King started out with a story.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone that you love reading, they got rejected, guaranteed. Mm-hmm. There's a wonderful book called Rotten Rejections, and it's a collection. All of Moby Dick's rejections. All like
Dick should
really
be rejected. Though.
Like really Sense and Sensibility.
Okay.
Like all these incredible. And then some of them are so mean. One of them said, I wouldn't touch this manuscript with a barge pole. Ooh. It's a rejection letter that I think Mark Twain. So it's this little book and that I bought 30 years ago because it was, and every once in a while when I was just be so discouraged, I would take it down and read all these amazing, wondrous literary beacons that got shit on by literary agents who probably wanted to really hurt themselves once all the money started rolling in.
Your favorite author has definitely been rejected.
Just stop Latin Rejections. It's a one of a kind book, so I can't think of the author, but get it because it'll really cheer you up.
Anyway. first, so like in the earliest skits, I mentioned that there were three
Three
fairies that
fairies.
worked at CaFae Latte.
You only talked about
Cyrus, and then
to be named later.
it's because JC first showed up to cover for them temporarily, and then I was focusing on JC, and they became the permanent character, and then I just kind of forgot about the third fairy. Look,
There was never a third fairy.
Look,
there was never a third fairy.
Is a myth with no god. Okay, like there's.
I feel that. That's pretty good. It's really good.
It's just not going to be a thing. They're not important to the TikTok story. So they're just like not like we'll just say that they just got in the book. I mentioned that JC, the job opening that JC interviews for with Bob was recently vacant because they had hired a baker who had only just gotten started and then had a family emergency and had to quit unexpectedly.
The end.
The end. Yes.
And someone here, off topic, wishes happy birthday to Dad. So my husband and her father, we will pass those nice wishes on.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I might be.
Oh, it's a very skip. Skip. What is her inspiration? It's me. I am her inspiration.
Tumblr, actually.
It's me and also Tumblr, a thing I don't know much about.
For CaFae, don't worry, I'm not even on Tumblr. Especially for CaFae Latte, because I'm on Facebook more than I'm on Tumblr, and like
here's a good one from Hannah Bink. I heard about the TikTok ban in January. Is CaFae Latte moving to just YouTube if or when this happens?
Gotcha. Yes,
that's a really good question.
Yes, so I'm going to be like addressing this in TikTok.
I'm glad I'm not on TikTok.
Like in case this good platform does go down, here's where you can jump ship. And basically the plan is I'm going to still create and upload daily videos, but that's going to be on Patreon for $1 plus patrons. If you don't want to give me money, that's totally fine. The TikTok seasons.
I also don't want to give you money.
And compilations. You gave me a college certificate. That ship has sailed. It's gone. It's gone. But basically, the free stuff is still going to be available on YouTube in full seasons and then even fuller total super comps. So you'll still be able to access it for free. It's just going to take a little more time, basically. But that is the plan. And the reason it's not going to be Instagram Reels or Lemonade or whatever is because they have very strict time limits on the videos. Instagram Reels has 90-second time limits.
Oh,
and yeah, and most
nobody has an attention span longer than like
vast majority of my TikTok videos are over 90 seconds. So it would take I would take a dive in quality basically if I were to try to do that.
Here's a good one. What's the unhealthiest thing about working at CaFae Latte by Champ to Stay? The cholesterol.
Probably. I mean, and Cyrus
need to get on high blood pressure meds too sometimes.
Cyrus definitely has a few. Cyrus would say the most unhealthy thing is Jennifer Charles because like he's trying to steal the stuff that they make and they defend it.
Oh my God,
defend it very zealously. So he has some bruises.
Oh, look at this from Savage Emoji. Can you please do a book signing in the UK? I would love to attend. I know that's to my daughter, but FYI, I also would like to come. We've been to the UK and done them. I will see Hever Castle again and the Tower of London before I die. I'm a huge Tutorphile. And we both would definitely have plans to do promotion abroad. It just kind of depends on what's going on.
For Heart of Iron, the CaFae Latte book, the book tour is going to be national, American. Even though I'm dividing it into, and I'll do like a proper announcement for this
segments of the country.
Yeah, so it's like the first mini tour is going to be like the Northeast.
Where it's really cold, when it's really hot, when it's really laid back, and the East Coast.
Yeah. So like I'm basically just going to do like divided in 4 and then hitting it section by section throughout end of 2025.
She plans to expand internationally, which I find awesome and a little scary.
Yeah, I want to get a little bit more momentum before we can do that. The card table we have
is wobbly,
very jiggly.
Yeah, I didn't touch anything.
This thing is.
Can you guys feel that?
This thing is older than me.
It is. It absolutely is. It's yeah, it is. But it's not as weathered.
Yeah. With John and Hurla, I don't fucking know. I said that I'm a planner, but the fact is with CaFae Latte, with how expansive and ongoing it's been, I've been forced to pants a lot of stuff. So with John and Hurla, I don't know. They're probably going to be platonic soulmates like BFFs because I hate the pair the spares trope and not every relationship has to be romantic.
Oh, Sarah, Maryjanice, I have the first Jennifer Scales book signed by Tony. I would love to add your signature someday. Same. My husband and I wrote this wonderful young adult series about Jennifer Scales' The Were-Dragon that did so well, they actually republished it as fantasy and not just YA.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so it ended up being a 5-book series that we just really, and our kids really loved reading it too. So when the galleys would come, our kids would like fall asleep with these enormous galleys like on their cases.
And also we'd be like, okay, can you guys like and get
what is I'm like, hell, you only are sending us the galleys of books mommy and daddy have written together. I'd love to get a galley for a Christmas, but it's not in the cards, boy.
Inspiration for creating CaFae Latte. It was a Tumblr post that was shared on shared on Facebook. That was basically what if fairies ran cafes, and that post took it in a kind of sinister turn where like you have
like Snow White mom, stepmom, bad fairy
sort of type of thing, or where it's just like, you know,
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, you have some places where you pay them, you get your drink, and you're good. That's it. And then you have others where they're like samples, and they say it's not free though, so you don't take it, and you have to be very polite and just all that stuff. And I just took that and kind of ran with it. And at the same time, I was working food service. Briano's Deli Italia. So I was just like, you know what? Let's do a Karen.
I'm seeing those. I'm thinking she's got to get out of that deli. She's taking over every like even her creativity. But it was great. And look, I can answer this for you, even though it's not directed to me. Will there be any explicit scenes in CaFae Latte? There will not. Never, ever, ever, ever. I feel confident answering that question for my daughter.
Yeah,
Giving up.
yeah.
Your dream will never come true.
There are very bloody scenes.
Yeah.
Very violent. Like Cyrus gets into several knife fights. Bob gets to lose her shit for once.
Someone's telling you to drink your water. Where's your giant cheese? I know it's generational. Thing. She carries around 3 gallons of clear liquids for some reason. This is what I'm drinking out of.
It's 40 ounces, Mom.
It's 18 gallons, and you know it. It's just unbelievable. I'm a big Carl Hyacin fan. He did a Striptease and a number. His books are set in Florida. He's very cynical and hilarious. And 20 years ago, when people started to get really into bottled water, he commented, he's like, and like most people in their 20s, she traveled with her own clear fluid. At the time, I laughed my ass off because it sounded so absurd. Fast forward a couple of decades, like no one ever goes anywhere without their own. I mean, it's
especially something I've noticed with my generation and younger ones, especially, is we're very health conscious. So like and so physical health, stay hydrated.
Well, and your grandmother's been riding my ass since I escaped the birth canal to drink more. So she's actually loving this. She was far ahead of her time because she's loving that. I have to take something to drink to bed now and not booze.
Yeah.
Like, something
she and Grandpa were both, especially when me and my brother would go visit them. They used to live in Missouri. Now they live in Arkansas. And they would also take us to Florida several they would be on me and my brother's ass about hydrating because we're from Minnesota, and so like it gets pretty hot in the summers, but not that hot.
Well, and the rule down south is if you wait until you're thirsty, it's too late. You're already
I've heard that. So yeah, I thought that was something that Grandpa Tunafish came up with.
That was your grandfather did not invent that saying, but I love that you thought so.
Gotcha. CaFae Latte health
section. That's genius. I think you should do that.
I am writing that down.
Champ to stay. That is a really, really good idea. Oh man, you can have so much fun with that. Good idea, Champ to stay. The rest of you bums, where are you generating ideas that will make her money down the line?
They are. So many of I have a Word document that is just like I have several Word documents for
too
outlines.
When I brag about Word documents, I have a bunch.
And one of them is Word document for fillers, I call it, where it's just, usually 1 or 2 shot videos. And so many of those ideas are from fans going like, and a lot of them are like, I have this type of physical disability or this type of illness, and I would love to see more awareness of it. I'd love to see more representation of it. And I'd be like, I'll see what I can do. I have no promises on if or when that happens. But
okay, when the pandemic hit, my daughter lost her sales job and she moved back home with us. And I was very sad about the pandemic, but I loved having my whole family home. And I got to see close up all the hard work she puts into her TikTok stuff. She spends days and days writing them. rehearsing them, shooting day. It was so much work and so much discipline for you guys. And I was just so, I'm so fucking lazy. I would never ever go to that much trouble. So I'm just gonna like glom onto her coattails here, but she works so hard for you guys. She really values your input, and she'll do anything to keep you guys entertained. And I think that's really great. And I'm glad to see you guys happy about it too. But she works hard. For anybody who thinks that, oh, you're just on TikTok, no, it's days and days and days of work goes into like a 3-minute sketch.
Yep. And I'm very glad
Way too much work for me.
Very glad for video editor Nick for taking some of that off my shoulders.
Oh yeah, and again, Nick, she talks about you all the time. You are apparently something of a second coming. I was unaware of your holiness, but you are nifty.
You know, what's even funnier is that he's Jewish. So is Jesus. So
Nick, you and Jesus have at least one thing in common. Do you have dark hair and eyes? Because maybe you have two things in common.
Blonde. Let's see here. It's almost noon, so let's go with one.
But that was fast.
Yeah, I told you it'd be an hour.
Like an hour. Can't we do for like 20 minutes? So I'm glad you ignored me.
No, you idiot. Yes, I do call him
Full idiot.
I do call him
Grandpa Tuna Fish
because that's their nickname for me.
And Tuna Fish. Yep, it's Tuna Fish.
And so to differentiate Mom's parents from Dad's parents, I called her parents Grandma and Grandpa Tuna Fish, and Dad's parents were Grammy and Grandpa.
And what was that show? The fishing show that
Wicked Tuna.
This show
born in Boston. Wicked Tuna.
We were just like, oh my god, we have to stop everything and watch every episode of this show. Yeah, my daughter was born in Boston. My son was born in Minnesota. You can't really tell though.
Not yet. I mean, like,
we love the commercials. Your cousin.
It's like, yeah, we know.
So homesick. We lived in Boston for 5 years, and
I gave serious consideration to move into the East Coast, like after college, but I didn't for like a couple of reasons. One, way too fucking expensive.
Oh, it's so expensive.
But also, Minnesota's my home.
Yeah.
But I will say the one thing I definitely miss is the oysters.
Oh, yeah.
Shelled oysters. She's for dirt cheap.
She's a beast worm, and there's a reason that the Boston's on her list because for her book tour.
Yeah,
and we're gonna tag along.
I guess family friends.
And also really cheap. You can go to Legal.
Yes,
you can get all kinds of and those commercials. Indoor beers. They really make us miss Boston. They always make us want to. Or your dad's favorite is the one about there's a cougar warning in the woods. Oh gosh! Okay, did you hear that, Barry? Your mom's running around in these woods. And we all just died laughing. That area has someone in their lives who's just like that.
Yeah, and if you don't have a cousin from Boston, you are the cousin from Boston.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that's a good end note.
Yeah,
great.
That's something to
go home and think about that, or stay home and think about that.
Everything important is linked in the description, such as including the giveaway for the books.
Yep.
I was nominated for a Cheer Choice Award.
Yes, she was.
Vote for
and
that.
She's moved up.
Right. Yes, I moved into the
phase,
like preliminaries. Now we're in round 1 officially. So there's that. All the money for that goes to charity, by the way. Spread the Cheer USA.
Yes.
So there's that. Fiend, my candle maker, is running a Kickstarter because they want to expand. So they want to do CaFae Latte potions candles, which alone I want to see, but they also want to expand into soaps and perfumes. Mm-hmm. So that's also linked in the description if you want to get in.
You smell like Cyrus? Go give that person some money. But you want to smell like Cyrus.
We were already like halfway to the Kickstarter goal, and it has like another 2 weeks on it. So if you want like free samples and like early stuff that they're going to be making for that, highly recommend. Mom's Facebook page is also linked. My Patreon is linked. Mm-hmm. Everything is linked in the description.
There's no escaping us. Be resigned.
Yeah.
On that note.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. Happy Saturday. How do I end stream? There it is.
And